we have this huge population of survivors that are, living with the after effects of cancer. And we need to do research on what's happening to those people and how to help them live, long, amazing lives.
Welcome to Believe in Progress, the American Association for Cancer Research Foundation podcast. Join us and be inspired by the incredible stories of those who have faced cancer with strength and resilience, and the medical professionals who are working tirelessly to find new treatments and ultimately a cure. Believe in Progress isn't just about the science of cancer. It's about the human side of this disease. Together, we can make progress in the fight against cancer and bring hope to those who need it most. Sarah Happy is 38 years old and lives in Michigan with her husband Noah and her two dogs Hugo and Nancy. She currently works for HBR, a consulting firm that works exclusively with law firms and corporate law departments. Sarah has a law degree from the Temple University Beasley School of Law and a bachelor's degree from the University of Michigan. Sarah has over 10 years of experience in the legal industry and has worked with law firms, government agencies, and academic institutions to implement initiatives related to data analysis, practice optimization, and digital transformation of legal processes. By the age of 25, Sarah Happy had survived not one, but two types of cancer, lymphoma and cervical cancer. After her lymphoma diagnosis in 2007, the aspiring lawyer began a 6-month regimen of chemotherapy, followed by 2 months of radiation therapy. After her treatment was completed, there was no trace of cancer. In 2009, a routine Pap test came back abnormal. The subsequent biopsy performed the day before her move to Philadelphia for law school found early-stage cervical cancer. She quickly underwent surgery to remove the cancer and finally moved to Philadelphia shortly after to begin school. 6 months later, however, the cervical cancer returned. After another operation, Sarah was once again declared free of cancer. Since then, she has been monitored closely and reports that the cancer has not returned. Cancer, however, remains an ever-present element in Sarah's life. The side effects of her treatments include chronic pain, lymphedema, and radiation fibrosis. Her experience with physicians skilled in cancer survivorship issues have convinced her of the importance of research. In 2017, she became an AACR Foundation ambassador, joining the Runners for Research team and speaking on behalf of the AACR at public events. Sarah, welcome to Believe in Progress, the AACR Foundation podcast. So great to see you.
It's good to see you, Mitch. Thanks for having me, and I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. So, Sarah, you and I have known each other for a while, and you have been like a great ambassador for AACR. And we miss you and Noah terribly here in Philadelphia, but know that you're doing some important things in Michigan. Tell us how things are going, and how you're feeling these days, and would love to hear a little bit about what's happening right now in your life.
So things are going okay. We survived 2023, which was a very interesting year. I am in Michigan because both of my parents were diagnosed with different illnesses. So my mom has Parkinson's, my dad had some heart problems. And unfortunately, we lost my dad last year, which was hard.
Very sorry to hear that.
Thank you. But, I have a wonderful job. I have an amazing support system. And actually, Mitch, in my intro, you talked about how important it is that people know about survivorship and know how to take care of themselves after cancer. And I can't believe the timing of this, but the day before my dad passed, I actually found out that I had a cancerous mole on my chest. So I had that removed last year. They got all of the cancer. It's a side effect of my radiation therapy. So almost 15 years later, I'm still kind of living with the after effects of the treatment that saved my life. But I'm lucky. I have doctors that support me, that follow these things, that catch them early, and I'm doing fine. And, we're happy to start a new year and be here in Michigan with family. And I'm just trying to enjoy my job and my husband and our life.
Where were you when, like, you were first diagnosed with cancer? Were you in Michigan at the time?
I was in Michigan.
Mhm.
So I had just graduated from undergrad like 3 weeks earlier. So I was still here. I hadn't, I had just applied to law school. So I was still kind of in that process.
Can you tell us a little bit about your mental state when you find out that you have a cancer diagnosis?
You're just stunned, right? I think it's a stunned feeling because you don't, especially at my age, I was 22. You don't ever think it would happen to you. Um, and it was funny because it was a family doctor that kind of told me, right? I think you have cancer. And I had him actually call my mom because I didn't think she would believe me. It was so out there.
Yeah.
Um, and so, you're stunned, and then very quickly you start to, well, you have no choice, right? But to kind of get on board and move along with what you need to do to treat the cancer.
Um, and you have, like, one of these unbelievable you just have such a great attitude. You've always had a great attitude, and that's something I've always admired about you and take that just
Thank
I
you.
think about that all the time. Um, then you were diagnosed with cervical cancer, right? T how do you, like, keep your attitude so positive? I mean, not everybody is like that. Not everybody has a positive attitude like that. And so if there's a message that you could send to people, about your own experience, could let's talk a little bit about that.
So I think, one of the things that keeps me positive is knowing that in a lot of ways I'm really lucky. Especially, with the cervical cancer diagnosis, because when you're in cancer treatment, you spend a lot of time with other cancer patients and radiation. You're there every day. You see the same people, you talk to them. And I knew how lucky I was that despite the fact the treatment was going to be difficult and it was going to change my life, I was going to survive and continue to live a long life, hopefully after that. The other thing is just there's still joy, right? Even when there are horrible things happening, there are still moments where you can find joy and you can find happiness and you can laugh. And, one of the things I did that was ridiculous when I had cancer the first time is I dressed up to go to chemotherapy, like high heels, dresses. I was not looking like I was sick, right? And it became something that I could focus on that was happy and ridiculous. And it was something that, the doctors and the nurses, we would comment and see, what fun, ridiculous thing I could come up with next. And so it was still just finding that joy in these awful moments. Because at the end of the day, I had to get through it too, right? It's not just being happy for other people around me or being positive for people around me. I have to live with myself and I have to get through the experience. And so, you know, I wanted to just continue to find happiness and joy where I could. That being said, I will say there are definitely moments that are not joyful.
Yeah, I'm
There are
sure.
definitely moments where you're sad and, you feel like things are never going to be okay again. And there's a lot of grief. But I also didn't deny those feelings or those moments either, right?
How has cancer changed your life? How's the battle with cancer changed your life? And you're still I remember when we first met, and you just had this, like, great attitude, and yet, something else popped up and there was another issue and you just kept, like, taking it head on. That's really it was inspiring to me to make sure that I do my best and, not worry about little things that perhaps might bother me. So can you talk a little bit about that? I mean, it's pretty amazing.
So, I'll start with the obvious ways that cancer has changed my life, right? Cancer has, taken a lot from me. There's a lot of grieving that I'm going to do about things that I've lost. I'm never going to be healthy again. I will be chronically ill for the rest of my life. I probably will continue to have cancer because of the treatment that I've received. Having kids for my husband and I is going to forever be a challenge, right? I will never be able to carry my own children. But the other side of that is I think it's the people that I've met along the way that really, bring a lot of joy. I've been open, and by being open, other people have shared their experiences with me and opened themselves up to me. And I've learned a lot about life for 38, and I've shared a lot of experiences with really amazing people, both people that are still here and people that aren't here. And I think that's brought, a fullness to my life that I wouldn't have had otherwise. I've also found my people, so to speak. I think my husband,
Hmm.
and he is the most amazing partner through all of this. And I appreciate him so much for everything that we've been through together, the positive stuff and, all the difficult stuff. So I think there's just a fullness to my life that maybe wouldn't have been there otherwise.
Probably really important to have a caregiver like that, like Noah. That's so
It is.
so impactful for you. But it's probably also taught you, as you talked a little bit about your mom and dad, how you are a caregiver now as well, right?
Yeah, and it's, being a caregiver is a whole other part of cancer treatment,
Hmm.
right? And I think even before my parents got sick, I recognized that that was a piece of it that was hard in ways that was totally different from what it was hard for me, right? Because I can always do something. I can go to the treatments, I can actively fight the cancer, I can do all of these things. And a caretaker has to kind of sit by and sit in this really uncomfortable place with you. And there's not a lot they can do. And so you appreciate those people. It's really a special person that can sit with you in those really uncomfortable places. And as a caregiver for my parents, even knowing that going into it, it's been really hard that I can't fix it, right? I can't fix what my mom is going through. I couldn't fix what was happening to my dad, and I just had to kind of sit with them in those moments. And that's hard.
Yeah, I bet. So, law school, Temple University brought you to Philadelphia, which is probably,
Yep.
one of the greatest things that's happened to the AACR, having you move to Philadelphia. Well, why Temple? Why Philly? Just kind of curious, what was your motivation for that?
So I came to Temple because I got a full scholarship.
Oh, that's a good reason.
Um, yes, which was a very, very good reason. But I stayed in Philly because I love the city. So I moved to Philly, and then a year later, my husband followed me out to Philly. And it's just one of our favorite places in the whole world. We still miss Philly every day. We lived in South Philly. We loved our little neighborhood. We loved that we knew, the people that worked at the grocery store. And, I had a little family at my nail salon, and all the restaurants knew our dogs. And people would come out and bring them out dog bones. It's just,
Yeah, is Noah from Michigan?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
I didn't know
So
that.
he grew up, well, he's my best friend's older brother, Mitch. So I've
I didn't know
known
that either.
Noah since I was, yes. So
Okay.
I have known Noah since I was 14 years
Oh,
old.
wow. Wow.
And actually, it's an amazing story. His sister is my best friend. Her name is also Sarah. And we've been friends since we were in middle school. And one of the reasons that we came back to Michigan is that Sarah's husband had bladder cancer.
Oh, boy.
He was 37 years old, stage 4 bladder cancer. And unfortunately, like right as the pandemic was happening, we lost John.
Hmm. I'm
So
very
they
sorry
were
to hear that.
married for, thank you. They were married for, 2 years. And, but it was just this like, you think about the universe and fate and all of those things to bring the four of us together, right? People that had known each other their whole lives and had this amazing family connection, kind of walking this weird path on cancer together.
Yeah.
I was grateful that I could be there for Sarah and John, and that, we could support the four of us each other
Yeah.
because we were living through these kind of common
Hmm.
experiences.
Hmm. I can't pinpoint like the moment we met and how you got involved with AACR. It might have been through one of our staff members, might have been Danielle actually. But could you tell us and talk a little bit about why you decided to volunteer for AACR, why you decided to raise money for AACR, and then part two of that would be in your mind the importance of cancer research and the kind of work that we do.
So I think there were two reasons that I have worked with AACR and stayed involved in AACR. I mean, and the original reason I wanted to work with you guys is because of your mission, right? You support cancer research. That's the stuff that's going to really have an impact on patients. The support of that you guys give to the researchers, the doctors, the people doing the work is incredible. And you actually see the impact, right? So, good examples are going to the fundraisers and knowing exactly, whose work the money you're raising is going to,
Right.
right? I came to one of the events and the doctor you were featuring, that was, going to be given the money was my brain surgeon.
So time out,
Um,
time out. Party with a Purpose is the name of the event.
yes,
And
party with a purpose.
nobody knows this but you and I, but that doctor, his name is Dr. John Lee at the University of Pennsylvania. He was my surgeon as well. Because I
I
had
wasn't going to call that out. I was going to
well,
let you do it, but
I'll let it fly. And that's such a small world. It's unbelievable. And he was
yeah,
phenomenal. And we were so happy that you actually came to that event, and we were so happy we could honor Dr. Lee because he's an amazing neurosurgeon. Um,
amazing.
so you came to that event. You believe
Yes.
in research. Continue on that.
So the other reason, though, that I stayed working with AACR is because you guys are amazing. The people that work for AACR are wonderful and committed and funny and just amazing to be around. So that's part of the reason. But cancer research is what is going to improve the lives of patients, and it's what's going to save the lives of patients, right? I mean, I think the work that has even been done in the last few years, and this was kind of, I think, highlighted at one of the annual meetings, is this work in early diagnosis, right?
Early
So
detection, early
um,
diagnosis.
yeah, research being done to find cancer before it reaches a point where it's not treatable anymore. Research. I'm currently benefiting from research that's being done on survivorship, right? So I'm taking medication that they're doing research to because they think it's going to improve my radiation fibrosis,
Right.
which is something that impacts me every single day. So research is really the stuff that's going to have the biggest impact on the lives of patients that are being treated with cancer right now, but also, we have this huge population of survivors that are living with the after effects of cancer, and we need to do research on what's happening to those people and how to help them live long, amazing lives.
Yeah, cancer survivorship research is this really growing area of research that ACR supports and others support as well. So
Yeah.
very, very important because, as you know, cancer is becoming more of a chronic problem for many people, and you really
Yep.
want to improve the
I mean,
quality of your life, right? Hey, tell us a little bit
right.
about your experience with the Philadelphia Marathon weekend and running. Your sister ran as well, and I loved having you there. I forget her first name. Maybe you could remind me.
Juliet,
Juliet,
like Romeo and
right? And
Juliet.
Juliet's back in Michigan as well.
She is. So she's here, and she's funny enough, she's in law school.
Okay, great.
So there will be two lawyers. So she's going to be an immigration lawyer.
Okay, but you two sisters decided you were going to run together and raise money, right?
Yep. So Philadelphia Marathon weekend is the weekend before Thanksgiving. It is one of my favorite weekends in the whole year because it's just this amazing series of events where, you get to see people do, run half marathons and marathons, which are amazing physical feats to begin with. But, the the way that it's going to benefit the lives of people through, the AACR and the money that's raised and the stories you get to hear about people that are running for other people or running for themselves or running for their loved ones. It's just completely incredible. And the way that everyone supports each other and roots for each other is it's just fun and amazing. And Juliet and I love being a part of it. There's my sister is one of my biggest support systems, and there's something just amazing about being able to get each other through that race. Like we've gotten each other through, this experience that really has impacted my whole family.
Yeah, I was thinking because wasn't that her first run? Was it like wasn't that one of her like she hadn't run that distance? I think and
She had
right,
never been a runner
right.
until she started running with me for
Yeah,
AACR.
so you motivated her, and she did it. I was like pretty amazing, pretty amazing. So
She's amazing, but yeah, it was.
well, I think it was like enlightening to me and fun to see the two sisters together and then also I remember being with Noah at the finish line and I don't know if both dogs were there, but one of the dogs for sure was there at the finish line.
Hugo was there.
Hugo was there, and sure enough, when you crossed the line, there was this great embrace with your husband and Hugo, and that to me was so gratifying and so awesome. So I applaud you guys on that. Um, let me ask you. Do you remember the experience when I don't know if I don't think she was the first lady, Jill Biden, Dr. Jill Biden, but you shared a
Yep, she
podium.
wasn't.
Yeah, but you shared a podium with her here in Philadelphia, and we were
Yep.
doing an educational seminar with the public television station here. What was that experience like being with Dr. Biden and talking a little bit about your experience?
It was great because she's so warm and she's so kind. And, it was great to be able to share my experience as part of like a larger, discussion about cancer because, as a survivor, I have a different perspective. And it's amazing to be included as part of that discussion. And the Joe Biden actually spoke the first time I came to the annual meeting.
Right.
And the work that they've done as a family to just make sure that cancer remains in the spotlight and really research that would support, cancer and a cure for cancer. It was just great to be included and she was lovely, really asked about my personal experience. We took a selfie. Um,
Nice. You did a great
she
you
was
were
very
great.
sweet.
You did a great
Thank
job,
you.
and it was really an amazing day, actually. What so tell me about this is it the HBR Consulting?
Yes, HBR
And
Consulting.
so, I know you were doing a lot of training work when you were in Philadelphia. Tell me a bit about
Yep.
the kinda job you're doing now.
So now we work with law firms and corporate law departments on kind of the business of law.
Mhm.
So one of the things that I focus on is the way that law firms can capitalize on, the data that they have. So, knowledge is what law firms sell, right? The
Yep.
knowledge of their lawyers that's available through all their systems. And so I work with them to figure out, how to use that knowledge and how to support the firm in the way that they do work more efficiently using that knowledge. And it's fun. It's really, really fun work. And I work with a really amazing group of people. And, that's what makes me love my job every day is the people that I work with.
That's awesome.
Um,
And are you virtual, or do you go into the office, or?
I am. No, we are completely virtual. So, the office our headquarters is in Chicago. But my team is all over the country. So two of my colleagues are in Virginia. One of them is out in California. But, we are together every day, here online. Funny enough, I've actually never met them in person
No
since I've
kidding.
been working there.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
no surprise to me that you're successful in whatever you put your mind to. You're really one of the most amazing and inspiring people I've ever had the opportunity to meet. With a lot of the stuff that's come down the pike for you, you've overcome it, and you keep looking at it with a positive lens. And we're so grateful that you have been an ambassador and continue to be an ambassador for the AACR
Thank you.
Foundation and the AACR, and you believe in the mission of research. And I miss seeing you more often, but really happy that you could do this today. And please give your family my best. Give everybody a hug and a kiss, and really look forward to seeing you again back here in Philadelphia, hopefully in the near future. But thank you so much, because this is really, really important to have you involved with us, and having you on this podcast was a kind of a labor of love for us.
Yeah, I'm so happy to be here and I'm so glad we could do it. And, I'm putting it out there now, Mitch, that I want to run the half marathon in November. So
Oh,
now that it's
oh.
out there in the world, I have to do it. Right.
So wait,
So,
we'll have to get you registered here very soon, and
yes.
that's
Yep.
great. That's great news. That's great. I mean, so we'll
Yep.
see you in
So,
Philadelphia then.
exactly. Right. And now that it's like out in the world, I actually have to do it. This is my way of holding myself accountable.
And you have to raise some money too, right?
Oh, yeah. No, definitely. Definitely.
Thank you so much for giving us some time today, and
Yeah.
warm wishes to you and the family, and much success, and stay healthy, and make it a great 23. And now it's going to be a better 23, because we're going to see you in November back here in the city of brotherly love,
Yes.
Philadelphia. It's going to be
I will
great.
be there.
Thanks, Sarah. Really
All right.
appreciate it.
Thanks so
Thank you
much,
so
Mitch.
much. Once again, thank you to our listeners, supporters, and donors. And remember, your support drives the progress against cancer. Once again, please consider subscribing to our podcast, sharing this episode with a friend, and heading over to our website, aacr.org, to consider making a donation. Thank you for listening to the Believe in Progress, the AACR Foundation podcast. This podcast is produced by CollegeCast. Please visit collegecastpodcast.com for more information. Thanks, Sarah.